Rowley John, a 29-year-old middle school teacher hailing from the coastal suburb of Wamberal in Central Coast Australia, led a life filled with the rhythms of education and a deep-seated love for swimming. Rowley only fancied the idea of surfing once a life-changing event propelled him into the world of waves, boards, and endless adventure. April 2009, when the world seemed to awaken from winter's slumber, brought Rowley and his close friend Adam to the sun-kissed shores of Central Coast. Little did they know that this beach visit would etch a story into their lives. Rowley sat atop his shortboard, patiently waiting for the perfect wave to guide him through the ocean. But then, in an instant, tranquility gave way to chaos. The very essence of the day was disrupted by a sudden, terrifying event that would forever change Rowley's life. As Rowley waited, a menacing presence lurked beneath the water's surface. With the swiftness of a predator, a large bull shark lunged towards him, its intentions unfathomable and deadly. The shark's jaws clamped onto Rowley's right thigh in the blink of an eye, delivering a searing bolt of pain that ignited his senses. Rowley's reaction was primal. He let out a piercing scream, a guttural cry of agony and fear slicing through the tranquil coastal atmosphere. His voice carried through the air, catching the attention of his friend, Adam, ashore at that moment. Without hesitation, Adam's instincts kicked in. He raced towards the water, his heart pounding with the realization that his friend was in grave danger. The ocean that had once been their playground now transformed into a battlefield. But Rowley displayed a remarkable resolve in the face of imminent peril. Panic did not paralyze him. Instead, it fueled his survival instinct. As a man of courage, he refused to succumb to despair. He attempted to fend off the relentless shark attack with his bare hands. Rowley's left hand became his shield against the onslaught. He pushed against the shark's massive form, trying to wrest himself from the jaws of death. His hand inadvertently slipped into the shark's mouth in the fierce struggle. The shark, acting on instinct, snapped its powerful jaws shut again, severing Rowley's index finger beyond the knuckles. The detached digit was lost to the depths, never to be recovered. Another finger dangled precariously, held together by tenuous strands of muscle. Remarkably, Rowley's right thigh, though subjected to the relentless jaws of the bull shark, did not lose a significant portion of flesh. Instead of a devastating chunk torn from his leg, it bore a severe slash. As Rowley's struggle with the shark raged on, Adam's desperate efforts to save his friend intensified. He knew that every second counted. With unwavering determination, Adam began targeting the one vulnerable point of the beast, its snout. Time seemed infinite and fleeting, as it tends to do in crises. As Adam's blows grew more determined, the shark, perhaps sensing the tide of the battle turning, retreated. Its mighty tail disappeared beneath the waves, leaving a swirling froth of turmoil behind. With the shark's retreat, Adam seized the opportunity. He hoisted Rowley onto his surfboard and began the agonizing journey back to the safety of the shore. Rowley's blood mingled with the seawater, staining the board. The lifeguards, alerted by Adam's cries for help, arrived at the scene armed with knowledge and medical equipment. The paramedics wasted no time in tending to Rowley's injuries. While the pain in his leg was excruciating, their assessment provided a glimmer of hope. The damage to his thigh, while severe, could be stitched up. Rowley was swiftly airlifted to a hospital in Sydney, his condition serious but stable. The bite to his right thigh and losing his index finger left him in excruciating pain. Yet his spirit remained unbroken. His journey of recovery had just begun. Weeks turned into a grueling process of healing and rehabilitation. Rowley bore the physical scars of his encounter with the bull shark, but his indomitable spirit remained undiminished. He faced each day with unwavering resolve, determined to regain his strength and reclaim his life. Finally, the day came when Rowley was discharged from the hospital. It marked the end of one chapter in his life and the beginning of another. Despite the visible reminders of his encounter with the bull shark, Rowley carried himself with quiet strength, embodying resilience in the face of adversity. In the warm embrace of a Texan spring, 59-year-old Mia Charles embarked on an unforgettable 7-night cruise aboard a luxury yacht bound for the Caribbean. With her heart full of anticipation and her family by her side, Mia set sail from her hometown. venturing into the azure waters that promised adventure, relaxation, and the beauty of the open sea. Mia's companions on this journey were her children and grandchildren, a multi-generational ensemble of love and laughter. Mia and her family immersed themselves in the cruise's diverse activities as the yacht cut through the waves, creating cherished memories at every turn. For Mia, the cruise offered a chance to revel in the joys of togetherness and witness her grandchildren's exuberance as they danced, splashed, and explored the world beyond their Texan horizons. As an elder amidst the youthful exuberance, Mia often chose to sit on the deck, her gaze fixed upon the vast expanse of blue before her. The tranquil waters of the Caribbean mirrored the serenity within her soul, and in these quiet moments, she would drift into the currents of her memories. It was during one such moment of introspection that her son Aaron approached her. Aaron sought to share in the wisdom of his mother's experiences. Their dialogue was a bridge that spanned decades as they discussed life's ebbs and flows, the challenges of work, and the intricacies of home life. With the quiet grace of age, Mia listened to Aaron's stories and offered her insights, her words infused with the wisdom of a life well lived. She knew that time had gifted her not only with wrinkles, but also with a wealth of experiences that could guide her children and grandchildren through their journeys. As they conversed, Mia explained her desire to snorkel during their visit to a Clearwater island. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she shared her plans, emphasizing that she intended to snorkel only in shallow waters, avoiding the depths that posed more significant risks. While touched by his mother's adventurous spirit, Aaron couldn't help but voice his concerns. He cautioned her about the potential dangers that lurked beneath the waves, urging her to prioritize safety. Mia nodded in understanding, her appreciation for her son's protective instincts evident. Upon reaching the Bahamas, the Charles family settled into a camp nestled far from the beach, yet close enough to feel the ocean's gentle caress. It was a serene retreat, a place where the whispers of the waves could be heard as they lapped the distant shore. Mia, ever the adventurous spirit, had her heart set on snorkeling. Excitement bubbling in her veins, she adorned her snorkeling equipment and waded into the water. The desire to explore and venture into the aquatic realm's heart overcame here. Mia, with her characteristic determination, set off into deeper waters, leaving behind the watchfulness of her family. As Mia ventured further from the shore, her family remained on the beach, their gazes following her movements with a mix of concern and awe. Mia's interactions with her family didn't cease in her underwater exploration. Occasionally, she would raise her head from the water and wave at them. Her family, watching from the shore, waved back in response. Minutes turned into moments, and time seemed to slow as the family continued to watch Mia's aquatic adventure. However, as the minutes stretched, a disquieting realization crept over them. None of them had seen Mia wave at them for some time. The jovial connection they had shared was abruptly severed. Then their eyes were drawn to a sight that struck terror into their hearts. A large fin gilded ominously in the tranquil waters where Mia had been swimming. Panic coursed through their veins, and their instinctual response was to run toward the water, drawn by the desperate need to protect their beloved family member. As they sprinted towards the shoreline, Aaron grasped onto a sizable rock, his knuckles white with tension. He braced himself for a potential confrontation with the looming threat they now faced. Meanwhile, amidst the cool embrace of the ocean's depths, Mia continued to enjoy her underwater exploration, blissfully unaware of the danger that lurked nearby. Unknown to her, the shark had sensed her presence and stealthily approached. In an abrupt, heart-stopping moment, the shark lunged at Mia with a speed and ferocity that left her with no time to react. The attack was swift and brutal as the predator's razor-sharp teeth sank into her flesh, leaving her with grievous wounds on her legs, arms, and upper body. As Mia's life hung in the balance, her family reached the shoreline, their faces etched with terror and desperation. They plunged into the water without hesitation. Their only thought was to reach Mia and bring her back to safety. By the time they reached the spot where Mia had been, the water had turned crimson with her blood. Their frantic efforts to find her were driven by a potent mix of fear and love. When their hands finally grasped Mia's motionless form, they pulled her from the water and carried her towards the shore. In the moment's chaos, Aaron, with a heart heavy with grief and anger, left his mother's side and confronted the tour company officials responsible for organizing the snorkeling excursion. He questioned why they had not informed the tourists about the shark-infested waters, a piece of crucial information that could have saved lives. Words turned into heated arguments as tempers flared, and the air was filled with accusations and despair. An ambulance was eventually summoned, and Mia was rushed to a hospital in New Providence. However, despite the desperate efforts of the medical team, it was too late. Mia was declared dead, her life extinguished by the brutal encounter with the shark. Once united in the promise of adventure and joy, the Charles family was now bound together by grief and mourning. The idyllic paradise of the Bahamas had become the backdrop for a heart-wrenching tragedy, a reminder of the unpredictable nature of our world. In the wake of Mia's passing, her family grappled with the immense pain of loss. Their hearts were heavy with sorrow, and the shadow of tragedy forever tainted the Bahamian paradise they had envisioned. From the tender age of 11 in the 90s, Breton Laughlin's heart had found its rhythm in sync with the rolling waves of Kiama's coastal embrace. The art of surfing had become more than just a pastime for him. It was a lifelong love affair that began in the sun-kissed waters of New South Wales. The thrill of catching a wave, the rush of adrenaline as he balanced atop the water, and the profound connection he shared with the ocean became an integral part of Breton's existence. For Breton, dedication was the foundation of his surfing journey. He knew that to master this art, he had to put in the hours, endure the wipeouts, and persevere through the learning curve. As the years flowed by, so did Breton's expertise and reputation within the tight-knit community of Kiama. His unwavering commitment to mastering the surf and conquering ever more challenging waves earned him the respect of fellow surfers, and the admiration of spectators lined the shore to witness his prowess. Local surf contests became his proving ground, where he showcased his unbridled talent and raw passion for the sport he cherished. With each competition, he pushed himself to new limits, transforming the waves into his canvas and board into a brush, creating a masterpiece of fluidity and grace. However, life often has a way of testing one's mettle when you least expect it. On a seemingly ordinary day in 2006, the sea's tranquility masked the unexpected danger that lurked beneath the surface. Breton and his close-knit group of friends set out for what should have been a casual surf at Bombo Beach, an outing they had embarked upon countless times before. Little did they know that this excursion would become a defining moment in their lives, forever altering the course of their destinies. As Breton rode the waves, a shadowy presence lingered beneath him, concealed by the water. Then the idyllic scene was shattered in the blink of an eye. A colossal force surged beneath Breton's board, lifting him from the water with a terrifying abruptness. He felt an irresistible pull, an overwhelming strength that threatened to drag him into the depths below. The predator's attack was swift and shocking, catching everyone off guard. Its powerful jaws clamped down on Breton's leg in the blink of an eye. The sensation of those razor-sharp teeth sinking into his flesh sent shockwaves of terror and pain coursing through his body. He let out a piercing yell, a desperate cry that pierced the tranquility of the sea. Instinctively, Breton fought to free himself from the relentless grip. His fingers clawed and scratched, wounding him more, leaving his hands battered and bloody. The primal struggle between man and nature played out beneath the surface, and Breton's world had become a chaotic battleground. Amidst the unfolded tumult, a true friend emerged as an unexpected hero. Flynn, Breton's fellow surfer and friend, sailed towards the scene of terror. With unwavering determination, Flynn confronted the shark head-on. His knowledge of the sea and its creatures guided his actions as he focused on the shark's vulnerability. He unleashed a barrage of punches aimed at the predator's gills, striking with a force born of desperation and love for his friend. The shark, momentarily stunned by this unexpected resistance, reacted to the painful blows. It released its grip on Breton's leg and turned away, retreating into the depths from whence it had come. Flynn's courage and quick thinking had saved a life in that fleeting moment. With Breton now free from danger, Flynn swiftly maneuvered his board to reach his wounded friend. His leg mangled and bleeding, Breton was hoisted onto the back of Flynn's board. Together, they navigated the tumultuous waters to the safety of the shore. As they reached the shore, the full extent of Breton's injury became painfully apparent. His upper right thigh had been severely gashed, exposing bone and muscle in a gruesome display. 3/4 of his thigh seemed missing, a stark reminder of the brutal encounter beneath the waves. Panic was palpable in the air as they assessed the severity of the injury. As the air rushed into the gaping wound, Breton's groans of pain filled the air, a haunting reminder of the struggle he had endured beneath the waves. Ella, Flynn's girlfriend, calls the lifeguard. Swiftly, they summoned an ambulance to the scene. The lifeguard, well versed in handling emergencies of this nature, provided crucial first aid to stabilize Breton's condition. Time was of the essence, and the severity of Breton's injuries necessitated immediate and expert medical attention. The ambulance arrived with a sense of urgency, its paramedics ready to whisk Breton away to one of the most equipped hospitals in the country. In the operating room, skilled surgeons confronted the grim reality of Breton's injuries. They used his lateral muscle to protect the exposed bone with precision and expertise, sparing him the grim specter of amputation. The road to recovery was long and arduous, but Breton was alive, which was a victory. Although the surgeons had offered their professional assessment that Breton might never walk again, he was not one to succumb to limitations. His indomitable spirit and unwavering determination drove him to defy the odds. Years passed, and Breton's resilience bore fruit. Not only did he regain the ability to walk, but he also found his way back to the waves he loved. Breton became a fervent advocate for preserving marine life, using his story as a change catalyst. He shared his experiences and insights with the world, seeking to raise awareness about the beauty and fragility of the oceans. In nature's vast and unpredictable world, encounters with predators often elicit fear, anger, and even hatred toward these formidable creatures. However, not everyone who faces the jaws of danger develops hatred towards the animal kingdom. Paul Harrison's remarkable story is a living testament to that sentiment. At 43, Paul Harrison had already led an extraordinary life of service and adventure. He was a dedicated Navy official of the Australian Army, a man who had once been a paratrooper before transitioning into the high-stakes realm of bomb disposal diving with his country's Navy. As a bomb disposal diver, Paul's days were filled with a unique blend of danger and precision. He was well acquainted with the perils of the deep, where his expertise was called upon to defuse explosive threats lurking beneath the surface. The ocean was his domain and workplace, where bravery and skill were his most trusted companions. In this environment, Paul's life's unexpected and harrowing chapter unfolded amidst the Sydney harbor. It was February 2009, and Paul was participating in what should have been a routine military exercise. Little did he know that the waters he had come to know so intimately would become the site of an unimaginable ordeal. Clad in his diving gear, Paul descended into the depths of Sydney harbor, fully immersed in the task. In an instant, the tranquil serenity of the underwater world was shattered. A 700-pound bull shark, a relentless predator of the deep, emerged from the shadows with a speed and determination that left no room for escape. Before Paul could react, the shark's jaws clamped down on him, trapping him in a vice-like grip. Instinct and survival merged into a primal force within Paul's mind. His training and fighting spirit kicked in the face of this life-threatening danger. The prevailing wisdom was clear. To fend off a shark attack, one should aim for the creature's eye. His right hand, the very instrument he needed to strike the shark's eye, was pinned by the beast's teeth, clamped down on his leg with unyielding strength. The predator's immense power held him in place, rendering him helpless in the face of the impending threat. Paul's mind raced as he desperately sought to escape the vice-like grip that threatened to engulf him. In a desperate bid to survive, Paul attempted a counterattack with his left hand, but the shark's grip was unrelenting. Its 350 razor-like teeth worked through flesh and bone like saws, inflicting intense pain beyond imagination. The bite nearly rendered him lifeless, and his fighting spirit waned as he choked on the bloody water, his vision fading as the 700-pound beast began to pull him down into the abyss. In those terrifying moments, Paul Harrison resigned to his fate, accepting that he was about to meet his end beneath the waves. Miraculously, the shark dragged him, released its grip on him, and swam away. The thought of not knowing how much time he had before the blood pouring from his wounds would attract other predators filled him with adrenaline. Summoning every ounce of his remaining strength, he raised his injured arm out of the water and began swimming toward the naval safety boat in the distance. When he raised his head above the waterline, the shock on his teammates' faces was palpable. They had been aboard, oblivious to the life-and-death struggle beneath them. In a heated response, they quickly hauled him out of the water. Paul's condition was dire, and he was convinced he would not survive the catastrophic blood loss. In a display of gallows humor characteristic of soldiers, Paul cracked a joke as a final farewell to his comrades. Closing his eyes in preparation for death, he surrendered to the overwhelming darkness that threatened to engulf him. However, one of his teammates demonstrated remarkable quick thinking and determination. He plunged his hand deep into Paul's leg wound, grasping the severed artery with his fingers to staunch the relentless flow of blood. It was an act of sheer desperation and heroism, a lifeline that prevented further blood wastage. Upon reaching dry land, the teammate only relinquished his grip on the artery when they were in the hands of doctors and nurses. The emergency medical team faced a horrific sight, a man whose arm and leg had been torn apart in a brutal shark attack. Paul's survival seemed nothing short of miraculous. In the following weeks, Paul underwent numerous surgeries and intensive medical care. His injuries were extensive, and the path to recovery was marked by excruciating pain and unwavering determination. The attack had left him without part of his arm and leg, forever altering the course of his life. Remarkably, after approximately 10 weeks in the hospital, Paul was discharged, his spirit unbroken. He defied the grim prognosis and embarked on a remarkable journey of rehabilitation. 6 months later, he achieved the unimaginable. He returned to military training, a testament to his unyielding resilience. While Paul Harrison had every reason to harbor bitterness and resentment towards the creatures of the deep, his perspective took an unexpected turn. He saw the attack not as malice, but as a case of mistaken identity. In his black wetsuit and rubber fins, he had unwittingly resembled another sea creature, leading the shark to misinterpret him as prey.